All right, so I want you to watch how 100 leads will turn into will only turn into 4 calls by having one little block. Or that's all it really takes. And when you're able to move that block, that will allow you to monetize more of the leads. So you don't need cheaper leads, bro. You need to be able to push the flow through the system you already have. And actually, believe it or not, that's actually a big. So I'm going to share with you some ideas on what that actually looks like, so you can actually get the strategy behind what you can do to monetize the lead flow that you got right now, especially if you have a consistent flow through ads, and how I've been able to generate thousands of leads and be able to turn that into hundreds of clients throughout the years. So we having fun today. Now, that's I've had an opportunity to work with, of course, beginner coaches, but I've actually been able to work with multiple 6 and 7 figure coaches. And what I've learned is that it's when you actually start working with people that have the budget, you start to notice they get hyper obsessed over wanting to get cheaper leads. And I got to tell people all of the time, it's not just about getting cheaper leads, because would you rather pay, $10 per lead and say, okay, great, I want to get it down to 5 and I'm getting at a good lead cost, but the lead quality isn't there? Or would you rather spend $20 a lead, which you're paying double per lead, but you have people that are paying you full price? So would you rather have $10 leads, let's say, and they nickel and diming you, and maybe they do a 12 pay payment plan, or would you rather pay $20 and you get somebody to pay upfront, or maybe a 2 or 3 pay? When you think about it like that, it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense. But there's some obsession over wanting to continually get cheaper leads, and that's not always the option. I'll pay more if it means that I'm gonna get more clients at the end of the day. So our goal is not to necessarily focus on that, because and I did a post on my Instagram earlier today, and I was talking about that. It may not be the ads. The ads may be completely fine. It may be actually the funnel that you have. And the funnel, yes, the technical funnel of the pages, but specifically it could be the customer journey, because at some point during your customer journey, if that's not smooth as butter, if that's not frictionless, then you're going to be losing people along the way. So that's what I like. So now, for example, let's say you got 100 leads. Now, out of 100 leads, you might have a goal. A good goal may be, okay, out of 100 leads, I should be able to convert 20 of them, let's say. Okay, perfect. So your goal is to convert 20 out of 100, but right now you're only closing 4 out of 100. Don't immediately jump to the ad is bad. I'm going to look at, of course, I don't want you to pay, 10,000, depending on your product you're selling, but I don't want you to pay $10,000 a lead. But I'm gonna look at that, but I'm gonna also look at, okay, well, where is the bottleneck in your process? Something is, you're losing people along the way. So one of the first things I'm gonna look at is I'm gonna look at your messaging. So I'm gonna say, okay, is the messaging from the landing page to from the ad to the landing page, is that matching? Okay, that's matching. We getting people through. Okay, that looks good. Then from once they actually become a lead, now I'm looking at what is your thank you process? Like what is your follow-up process? So first is thank you page, right? What specifically are you finding ways to continually get them to book on a thank you page? Are you building trust on a thank you page? There's plenty of ways to do that through VSLs and other ways. I'm looking at follow-up email campaigns. Are you squeezing as much juice out of the lemon as possible? Follow-up email campaign might be a follow-up campaign that, like, I have a campaign on my end where you get emails for 30 days straight. Or not straight, but you get emails for like the first 10 days straight. And then, every 2, 3, 4 days, you're getting emails. Right. And a lot of those emails are pushing you back to book an appointment with me. A lot of those emails are building trust. So when you meet with me, you're more open, you have more trust. So I'm doing that. I'm looking at, do you have a text message campaign that's set up that's also pushing people to book calls? I'm looking at speed to lead. How fast are you getting the leads? When you get a lead, they best practice is within 5 minutes. So are you saying, can you really say right now that you're following up with leads in 5 minutes? See, when you're not doing these things, what that's doing is that's taking the percentage of the leads that you could convert into clients, and is getting lower and lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. But every time you add one of these elements in, you're somebody who would have potentially signed up sooner. It takes them a long time to do it because now they got cold. Let's look at some of those reasons. Why wouldn't they sign up, right? First, if let's say it takes them a week to sign up, let's say it takes you, I'll give you a few days. It takes you a few days to follow up with a lead. They could have already looked at somebody else's program and joined. At the time they wanted to solve that problem, they no longer have the sense of urgency to solve that problem. They could have uh, found some other kind of solution or download that gave them a false sense of security, like, oh, I got this problem solved now. They could have joined another webinar, or they could have found something else on the internet and said, oh, maybe I could solve my problem this way. So it could be a bunch of things that happen. They could have got sick, and then now, they sick for the next 2 weeks. They could have, if you would have called them in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, once they came in as a hot lead, then you would have had the ability to potentially sign them up. But because you waited 3 days, a day or two passed, and then now they're on the 2 week vacation. So you never know what's going on in people's lives. So your goal is, when somebody immediately comes into your world as a lead, you got to be on it. Right now, you might say, well, Coach C, I work, you might still be working a full time, or you might say, listen, I don't really have the team right now. I don't have the setters. I don't have the closers to do it. I'm doing all these other things, or I'm monetizing another way. I do events. You might be doing other things that's preventing you from doing it. My job is not to think through all of the excuses you're going to give. My job is to tell you what the best practice is and help you implement those best practices. My job is to say, look, I'm gonna utilize my 10 years of generating leads and advertising skills, and I'm gonna push it through your funnel. But I also want to see you grow, which is different, because somebody asked me one recently. A lady was like, I was telling her about my ads agency, and she was like, "Oh yeah, but can I just find somebody else to do it cheaper?" And I said, "Absolutely. You could definitely go find somebody to cheap." I said, "You could go," and I gave her suggestions. I said, "You could go overseas." I said, "You could find people in the Philippines." I said, "You could find these virtual assistants." I said, "There's a lot of options you can do to find people overseas and get it done for cheap." She kind of looked at me like, wow, like, you even giving me suggestions? Like, she was almost taken aback, like, how could you be so confident in what you do that you would even recommend places I could go and to do business with other people? That was what I was getting, the nonverbal communication. And I said, here's the thing, it's being successful with generating leads specifically through ads is not just about you being able to set it up. I said, it's about you being able to run ads, successfully get the right person, or get the right person you want to do business with, which is AKA quality. Get enough of those leads going through the pipeline. Let's say you get 100 leads this month of the right people, and then also having the ability to put yourself in the best position to help to enroll and to monetize as many of those leads as possible. And I said, I've been in this coaching industry for the last 10 years doing it. And I've worked with thousands of coaches at all different types of levels. So when you're hiring me, you're not just hiring somebody who could just set up ads and run it. You could get your niece, your nephew to go just set up ads and just run it. There's strategies behind ads successfully. And because I've been in the industry, And I've been doing it for my own coaching brand. This wasn't even like I was doing this for coaches. I've done this for my own coaching brand. Then that gave me the perspective of knowing how to successfully work the entire funnel from the time that they see an ad to the time that they become a client, and to know exactly where the bottlenecks are at, to know where the constraint is at. I can look at I could look at to see if they're taking additional actions after they become a lead. I could look and see if they're if you're getting more people to book once you're actually doing the emails, or if the emails need tweaking, or if you even have that. How fast it's taking you to follow up with a lead. How well you're able to get somebody from even booking a call to even showing up on a call. Because there's been plenty of times where you've had somebody who actually booked the call, but they ghosted. They didn't show up, right? They said, oh, they had that they cancel last minute. We've all had that, right? It's or from the follow-up process of somebody who wasn't quite ready to sign up right now, but you followed up, but you have to keep following up with this person for months or for years, and they just keep flip-flopping. A lot of this is this is when I say the funnel, I'm saying, yeah, the funnel in terms of the pages, but I'm also talking about the customer journey, even after they become a lead. You see what I'm saying? So there's literally 100 different places that you could drop the ball. And because I'm actually in this industry, I can look at the entire process and I can say, here's where we too slow. Here's where you dropping the ball at. Here's where we need to build more trust. Here's where we need to, increase familiarity. Here's where we need to have more touch points, and I can point out all of these. This is something that somebody who has not been in our industry, and even if they have been in the industry, you have to work with a lot of coaches that's within our industry at all levels to really understand what it looks like. Because a funnel of somebody who's just getting started is going to be a funnel for a brand that I'm working with who's seven figures, right? So not only do I have the insight to see what it looks like at a beginner stage, which is typically none or typically very simple, to a multi-step funnel with upsells and downsells and all kind of things, all the way through multiple touch points and everything, in order to get that particular type of lead to enroll. And so I have that experience. So this is the thing that I'm telling her, right? And then she kind of understood, like, oh, okay, got it. So what I started calling myself more recently is as a growth operator, because on the front end, yeah, I on the front end I'll say, yeah, I'll work with you and I help you, and I'll do the ads for you and I'll bring in, and you can actually rely and trust on me to do that. But I do much more than that too. And I bring a lot more value, which is why I charge more than you going overseas to India or going overseas to the Philippines and just hiring somebody just to set it up and just do what they tell you to do. You see what I'm saying? I joined a coaching program, I mean, many, many years ago, but I remember I remember the business coach, he told me, he was like, there's a difference between hands and head hands and heads, right? He said hands are people that just do the work. He said you tell them what to do. I want to say robots, but that's like one of the easiest analogies I can give you. They're basically a robot. They tell you, hey, go do this, you do that, do this, do this, do this, and all their job is to do what you tell them to do. They don't have the critical thinking skills. They don't have the deep domain expertise and knowledge in the field. They don't have any context to what's going on, or to what this means, or how this relates to this, or based on their experience. They don't have any of that. They just know how to functionally and tactically do the task that you ask them to do. And that's what that looks like at the highest level, right? God forbid you get a virtual assistant and you get somebody who doesn't even know how to do the basic tasks, and you got to even teach them how to set up ads, or you got to teach them how to put together a funnel. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just basic. But when you are getting experience on your team, it's a whole different ball game, right? it's things that you didn't even think about, things that you didn't even see, right? I look over, I got scripts and SOPs. I got for setters, SDRs, sales, in terms of actually sales and strategy calls. So I'm not saying that to beat on my chest and say, look at me, but I'm saying that the reason, one of the first reasons people go to of why their ads are not monetizing is, oh, I need to get cheaper leads, or I'm spending too much on the ads, or and you want to look at that. But what I found more often is that, well, what's happening with the leads you already getting? Like, that's what I want to know. And how much of that you already monetizing? You know what I mean? Because we could put, we could write better ads, of course. We could do better creative, of course. You could spend more money and get more leads, of course. But what's happening after you get the lead? Nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about, especially that I know any other agencies that I've seen that remotely do anything close to what I'm doing for coaches, which most of them don't even specialize for coaches, by the way. So that's really like two steps removed already, because you got agents, you got people who say, "Yo, I can do ads," but they do it for everybody. In they don't specialize in working with coaches. And then even if they even if they do, which I've never even seen any that specialize in working with coaches specifically. But even if they did, it's not Meta, right? Which Facebook and Instagram are the two most mature platforms. And I haven't even seen that. But even if that was the case and somebody happened to exist that was like that, how were you even working with coaches specifically? And can you say you work with thousands of coaches specifically to even have context on what works? So even if that somewhere in the world somebody did have that, they might have came out of another industry or doing another product or doing another service. You see what I'm saying? So it's so many layers removed that you would really have to have deep domain specific expertise in the last 10 years of you doing it, and you running ads for yourself successfully, and then specifically work with coaches in helping hundreds, specifically my program, but just generally even through consultation, thousands of people before you even said, I'm going to start my agency, which we've been in business since, I want to say, I was looking at this the other day, I want to say 2023. I think I did the pilot in like 2022, where I was like working with a few of our clients internally. And then in 2023 is when I officially kicked it off. Right. So I mentioned in all of that to say, you have the ability to help more people. Let's look at the funnel first. Let's see where gaps, let's see where it's broken, let's see where it's leaking in there. And and typically there is something there. And then let's fix that. If we need to fix the ads, we need to fix the visuals and all of that, or we need to fix the scripts or what you're saying or who we're talking to or the angles. I mean, it's a lot of ways we can go with that too. But that's the expertise. So I'm looking at the whole thing when it comes to, generating the right leads and the right amount of leads for you to be able to grow and scale your business. All right. So if this is something that you're interested in, actually, there's a couple ways we could definitely talk, and I'll give you more insight and information in regards to this. You could just go ahead and put details in the comments, details, and then I'll give you some further details on your situation, what it's looking like, and potentially what you need. And I got some fun things happening because what's coming up is Black Friday, Cyber Monday is coming up. So I got some good deals. So if you've been thinking about running ads, if you haven't already been running it, then we could definitely have that conversation. Or if you're already running it, but you're like, man, I don't really feel like um I'm optimizing it and I'm squeezing as much juice out of this as I can from the leads I already have, or the leads that I'm getting, then we could definitely have a conversation about that too. Like I said, my goal is to grow with you. All right. It's not to slow you down. Right. And when you win, I'll win. So I got some cool bonuses and things that I'm doing for Black Friday. So if you're interested and you want to know more about how my agency could work with you and I can help you be able to grow and scale, go ahead and put details below. And then we'll grab a time for a few minutes and see how I can help. Slow motion is better than no motion. Let's work.